If you've ever seen people saying XRP could hit $10,000, you probably thought one of two things. Either, this is insane, or, what if they're seeing something I'm not? Before we go any further, if you want content that breaks down crypto without the hype, make sure you subscribe, because this is exactly what we do here. Now, let's talk about the $10,000 XRP theory. Yes, there are actually people who believe this. And no, it didn't come out of nowhere. There's a logic behind it. It's just a very extreme version of that logic. Let's break it down. The entire idea starts with one assumption, that XRP becomes a core part of the global financial system, not just used here and there, but used at scale by banks, institutions, maybe even governments. Now, if that happens, XRP wouldn't just be another crypto asset. It would become infrastructure, something that sits underneath how money moves around the world. And this is where the theory starts to expand. Right now, trillions of dollars move globally every single day. Cross-border payments, remittances, institutional transfers, it's a massive system, and it's not very efficient. It relies on intermediaries, pre-funded accounts, and legacy infrastructure that hasn't really evolved at the pace of technology. So the argument goes like this. If XRP replaces or significantly upgrades that system, it would need to handle a huge amount of value. And if it's handling that level of value, the price per unit would need to be much higher. That's where numbers like $1,000 or even $10,000 start showing up. Because people are no longer thinking in terms of market hype, they're thinking in terms of global liquidity. But here's the part that most people skip. There's a massive difference between a system that could work and a system that the world actually adopts. For XRP to reach anything close to those levels, a few things would need to happen. First, global adoption at scale. We're not talking about partnerships or pilot programs. We're talking about real, consistent usage across major financial institutions worldwide. Second, regulatory clarity. Not just in one country, but across multiple major economies. Because money doesn't move globally without legal frameworks supporting it. Third, trust. Banks and institutions don't just switch systems because something is faster. They switch when they trust it, and when the risk of not switching becomes too high. And fourth, competition. This is something people often ignore. XRP is not the only solution trying to solve cross-border payments. There are other technologies, other networks, and even central bank digital currencies being developed. So XRP wouldn't just need to be good, it would need to win. And winning at a global financial level is extremely difficult. Now, let's talk about the number itself, $10,000. If XRP were to reach that price, the total value would be beyond massive. We're talking about levels that would require a complete transformation of how value is stored and transferred globally. Not just adoption, but dominance.
And that's why most people look at this theory and immediately dismiss it, because from today's perspective, it feels unrealistic. But here's where things get interesting. The reason this idea keeps coming back isn't because people are bad at math. It's because they're thinking about a completely different future. A future where money moves instantly across borders, liquidity is global and seamless, and digital assets play a central role in financial infrastructure. In that kind of world, the rules we use today might not fully apply. Now, does that mean XRP will hit $10,000? No, but it does explain why the idea exists. It's not just hype, it's a projection based on a very specific vision of the future. The real question is whether that future actually happens, and more importantly, whether XRP is the system that ends up supporting it. Because at the end of the day, price is not driven by belief alone. It's driven by usage, by necessity, by integration into real systems that move real money. So instead of asking, will XRP hit $10,000, a better question might be, what kind of world would need to exist for that to even be possible? Because if that world never shows up, the price won't either. But if it does, then the conversation changes completely. And that's the part most people don't think about. This isn't just about numbers, it's about systems. And systems don't change easily. But when they do, they don't change halfway.